and a warm and Vince's welcome for Mr. John Caslione.
Thank you, Jim. Thank you. You know, the interesting thing is, if we can all go back to September of last year, do you remember, I believe the date was the 29th of September, the New York Stock Exchange dropped 776 points. And exactly 11 days later, on the 10th of October, it went up nearly 900 points, something that has never been seen. And the closest thing that comes to it is the Great Depression of the 1930s. People knew that this was different, but just couldn't really articulate exactly what was going on here. There are still parts of the economy that aren't really impacted. And I will tell you this, we will all be impacted. But being impacted doesn't mean that we have to drop in sales. It doesn't mean we have to drop in profitability. But we will be impacted by something called turbulence. Continuum. The new normality. I was flying from Chicago to Shanghai about 3 weeks ago via Frankfurt. We were 30 minutes late in taking off because air traffic control had seen some turbulence out there. We took off. As we were taking off, we're doing fine. We're about an hour into it, somewhere over Canada, because you go over the North Pole. Now, an hour into it, we got buffeted by so much turbulence, we dropped. We must have dropped at least, I'd say, 1,000 feet. Okay? That plane shook. But that plane could take a lot more than we can take. They had to stop, obviously, beverage service, meal service. We were just buffeted around. When that turbulence hits that plane, as it hits our company, that causes chaos. And that chaos was revealed. We couldn't handle it. That plane could take a lot more. That plane was built to last. We found, I should say the pilot found a new altitude. And that new altitude, we had a 200-mile-an-hour tailwind before us. We got to Shanghai an hour early. So turbulence can work in your favor as well, if you know that it could be coming, because you can never predict it. You can sometimes detect it, but if you're prepared for it. We've had 7 or possibly 8, because we had one which was a double dip recession since the Second World War. And what we typically have had is something that looks like a sine wave. And every single recession went for about, on average, 5 to 7 years. Then following that, after bubbles bursting, we averaged somewhere around 10 months of a recession. And then we came out of it. And then we started that nice long upward curve again. Well, guess what? That's not going to happen. As I'm going to explain to you, we're going to look at something we call chaos-punctuated new normality. What we're going to give up is that nice fluid sine wave, and what we're going to have is something that's going to look more like your heartbeat, an EKG. Now, it doesn't mean that we're going to go deep into the abyss, as we have been now, but it's not going to be fluid, and it's not going to be even. We may have 2 months, 3 months, 14 months of an upswing, and then we're going to be buffeted by some turbulence and some chaos. And to the extent that we are prepared for that, it will impact us to a varying degree, and then we'll have to come back. So this is not a recession strategy. This is a strategy for all times. There's a strong possibility that when all the dust settles, after all of our government leaders and all the central bankers have all taken care of everything, and we've got all the stuff sort of worked through the system, that there's a strong possibility that it will not be business as usual as you go forward. Thank you.